You probably wondered at some point, why don't I feel like my sun sign? Maybe you read about it and looked at the qualities it's supposed to represent and it just didn't resonate with you. And if you have taken that as a sign that something is wrong with astrology, you're not alone, because most people don't naturally feel like their sun sign when they start exploring astrology. What if you were never actually meant to fully relate to your sun sign from the start? What if your sun sign is not a reflection of who you already are, but a map pointing towards who you're becoming? That would change everything. Welcome back to Path of Radiance. On this channel, we don't just talk about astrology as a tool to predict your future, but instead we use it to understand ourselves more deeply. So if you're here to live more intentionally, you're in the right place. So your sun sign isn't just a bunch of personality traits. In Vedic astrology, the sun is your Atma, the soul's essence, the person you came here to grow into. It represents your inner fire. And just like the sun in the sky, you wouldn't look at the sky at 5 a.m. and say, why isn't the sun shining bright already? You know it has to rise slowly with time. So in the same way, your light, your confidence, your purpose, which is all representation of the sun, doesn't just switch on as soon as you're born. It grows with every experience, every effort, and every moment you put yourself out there. Your sun sign shows the qualities your soul has chosen to develop in this life, not the ones that you've already mastered. So that's why it feels a bit unfamiliar at first, because you don't already have those qualities. You are more of developing it, and you're meant to move towards it. So if your sun sign is all about becoming who you're meant to be, why does that journey feel difficult? Because the sun calls you to take up space, to own your confidence, to be authentic. Your moon might say, let's just stay safe, stay small, and your Saturn might say, prove yourself, you're not ready still. But sun is not like that. It just wants to shine. So why is it hard? Because stepping into your full visibility can bring up old fears for a lot of us. Maybe you're worried about being judged or criticized or even rejected. Because when you start shining brighter, it's like you become more visible, and that can feel exposing and vulnerable. To be really authentic, we have to drop the mask that we wear, and it can feel very vulnerable. And if you grew up in an environment where standing out is not really encouraged, or being too confident is termed as arrogant, you might have learned to dim your light to fit in or stay safe. Maybe you were told to be quiet, or to not make a fuss, or that your ideas were not as important as the others. When your core essence, which is your sun, wasn't nurtured well enough, or if you had to hide it, then the idea of letting your light out can feel very unsafe and like it's a threat. But all this is okay. There's nothing wrong with it, because you're not meant to match your sun sign. You're meant to walk towards it, and life will keep putting you into situations where you're asked to rise into those qualities. So if your sun is in Leo, you'll be pushed to express yourself even when you want to stay small. If it is in Capricorn, you'll be asked to take ownership even when it already feels heavy. When we are so used to following the same old way, it can feel harder to do things differently. But when you stop resisting that path of your sun sign, it will stop feeling like pressure and start feeling like power. And life becomes your training ground. Each challenge you face is like a hidden invitation for you, asking, will you rise now? Will you remember finally who you really are? And when you finally learn how to stop avoiding it and start leaning into it, your whole life will start feel more like yourself. Now you might be wondering, how does this all apply specifically to my sun sign? I've made a whole separate video where I walk through each sign on how your light first got dim, the emotional blocks that you might still have, and the gifts that you are here to grow into. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Imagine meeting a younger version of you who is unsure, quiet, and still searching, and you could tell them that you're not lost. You're just becoming who you're meant to become. You just have to follow your sun, because the sun is your Atma, your soul. It's you.